So, good morning, everyone. We'll begin with the reflections on universal well-being. May I abiding well-being in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may I maintain well-being in myself. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action, and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and results will be their whole. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be the heirs. Continue to read Ajahn Mun's biography. And I wanted to maybe finish Ajahn Mun's biography by reading about the end of his life. So this section is titled, His Final Illness. Ajahn Mun had already lived for 5 years at Ban Nopu Monastery when in March of 1949, 14th day of the 4th lunar month, his body began exhibiting signs indicating the approaching end of his life. By then he was 79 years old. On that day there appeared the first symptoms of an illness that was to worsen until it finally brought to close his long life. A day that sent tremors through Ajahn Mun's body elements and shock waves through the community of his close disciples. Initially, there was a light fever, accompanied by a slight cough. But as the days passed, the symptoms steadily worsened, never showing the slightest improvement. Obviously abnormal, the constant decline in his health worried us all. But Ajahn Mun himself clearly knew that this was to be his final illness, an illness no type of medical treatment could cure. He informed his disciples of this from the very beginning, and from then on never showed any interest in medicines. On the contrary, he seemed annoyed when someone brought him medicines to take. This he expressed in no uncertain terms. This is Ajahn Mun speaking. This is the illness of an old man who has reached the end of his line. No matter what kind of medicine I take, it will never be cured. All that's left is the breath in my body, biding its time, awaiting the day it finally ceases. I am like a dead tree that's still standing. No matter how much you fertilize and water that tree, it is impossible to make it sprout and flower again. This old, dead tree now stands, anticipating the day it will topple over and go crashing to the ground, felled by this very same illness. I thoroughly investigated my condition long before the symptoms appeared. That is why I've been warning you all. Don't be complacent. Hurry up. Intensify your efforts now while I am still alive. In that way, I can help you resolve any problems you may have in the meantime. Missing this opportunity now may cause you to waste a lot of time in the future. I will not be here much longer. Soon I shall depart. In keeping with the laws of impermanence that follows constantly on the heels of all conditioned things, without exception. "3 years ago I warned you that would not last more than 3 years. What more can I say? What I have told you I know to be inevitable. The work that the round of samsara performs inside the minds and bodies of human beings and animals alike continues unerringly along its natural course. In just a few months' time, it will complete its final task within this body of mine. How can it possibly alter its appointed task?" With each passing day, his symptoms gradually worsened. Showing no interest in medicines of any kind, he was clearly annoyed when people came and urged him to try this remedy or that cure. But so many people arrived offering cures that he had a hard time resisting them all. Each one touted the effectiveness of the medicine he was offering, insisting that if he took it, he was sure to get better, for it had already cured many others. They all pleaded with him to try their medicines out of compassion for them. They wanted him to get better so that he could continue to be of service to his many followers for a long time to come. He often warned them that the medicines were useless for his illness, that only firewood for cremating his corpse was appropriate. But the more he protested, the more they beseeched him. So occasionally, he yielded to their appeals and took a small dose of medicine. He was concerned that people would feel disappointed if they believed he had given up on his condition. So I'll save this for a couple parts. But I thought this reflection was a valuable one for us, especially for cultivators. It's just to imagine, what will we be doing on our final days when sickness comes? How will we face it? The body starts to no longer follow our instructions. Perhaps there's constant pain. Loved ones who are emotionally distraught, who are feeling unsettled. How do we face it? And how do we face the passing of our loved ones? And I think this is a very important contemplation for us now, because I found, having been in the monastery, that for those who haven't really thought about it, haven't really faced it, and are just going with the ordinary approaches of the world, when the time comes, there's a lot of suffering. There's a lot of confusion. I remember one time in the monastery, I think Jin-Chuan Shi was with me perhaps. A man came in, and I believe he wanted to find a place to have his mother's ashes in the monastery. His mother was in the hospital. And so he came and we spoke to him for a little bit and explained to him that we're happy to help where we can, but generally, because Berkeley Monastery is a small place, we really can't leave ashes here. And as he was talking with us, he started asking a little bit about questions around death. He was clearly somebody who was very successful in life and loved his mother very much and wanted the best for her. So I want to, get people in the monastery to recite for her. I want this, I really think it's really important. And then he started asking other questions. He said, you know what? Right now she's in the hospital and the doctors say that there's no hope for her. and want to take her off the machines. He says, how can they do that? How can they do that? They're doctors, they can't do that. I'm going to sue them. I said, okay. Let's talk about it. Have you sit down, we'll get you a cup of tea. So what's going on? And he starts sharing his story about how his mom has been in the hospital for a while, and at the end of life. And
a few years.
Was it a few years? Was it maybe a few years? Yeah, but it was, for a while. And he was, been trying to keep her alive at all costs. And he says at this point her body is just bloating, like her body's like much bigger than what it is before. But he says, my mom, I really, I do the best for her. And I was just listening to him. And I said, well, whatever, there's a teaching by the Buddha around why do people die? And people die from sickness, people die from accidents, but really why people die is because we're born. Whatever is born will pass away. And this is not something that is wrong. It's not something that you're not doing your filial job by keeping your mom, by allowing your mom to transition. Right? Death is not an end in the Dharma. And actually most of it, I don't even quite remember what I said, but most of it was actually just talking in a calm voice, listening to his struggles, and then encouraging him to say, at this point now, the best way you can be filial to your mom is to support her in her journey. That clearly, from what you just described, her body is falling apart. It's bloating. The doctors say there's no hope. What can you do? You've given your best. You've done your best, and that's really something we want to honor. That you care for your mom. But this time, maybe it's time to see, can you let go of her in your heart? To say, Mom, I wish you a smooth transition. I deeply care about you, and I deeply care that you go to a good place. I'm okay. I wish you a smooth journey. And I can see when we said that to him, I think Jin-Chuan Shi and myself, it was the first time he really thought about it that way. Because his mind was in a kind of fighting mode. I'm going to keep her alive at all costs. And just like the people who come with medicine to Ajahn Mun, same thing happened with Master Hua. People come with their miracle cures, trying this, trying that, wanting to keep the body alive. And, sometimes we're like that too. Right? We're so focused on what's before our eyes in terms of trying to survive, that we miss the deeper principles of the Dharma. That whatever is born passes away. And it's our real happiness and peace. You can say our true survival isn't in keeping this body alive at all costs, but actually cultivating the freedom of mind and heart from the Dharma. And with that freedom, we can face death and say, I know you. I accept you for what you are. I don't have to be trapped by you. And so I think for us, these great teachers, Ajahn Mun, Master Hua, of course the Buddha, those who've actually faced death directly and transcended samsara, they're role models for us. They're role models for us to say, let's not just cling to this life, where, whatever is born passes away, but rather really use this time to cultivate. Don't waste it. They all say this human life is so precious. Every moment is so precious. Don't waste it. And so maybe today, for all of us, myself included, really see if we can cherish our time, knowing that, who knows when we'll go. Who knows? Okay, so let's maybe do 3 steps, 1 bell.